Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Farooq Hussain is back with a new episode of Sky is the Limit. I hope all of you are doing well. They say a life lived for others is a life worth living. And we all believe in that. Humanity is, of course, a bigger phenomenon than it appears. We need to care for each other. Today, my guest is a person who has contributed a lot towards his profession, towards the society, towards the country. He is a decorated officer, retired from the Pakistan Air Force, was awarded Hilal-e-Imtiaz military, Sitara-e-Imtiaz military and Tamgha-e-Imtiaz military. He has had 3 innings. The first one, of course, was in Air Force. The second one was in civil defense, heading the bomb disposal unit or the bomb disposal force in civil defense under Ministry of Interior. And now he is serving the society as director of Sundas Foundation, which works for patients suffering from thalassemia or blood related diseases. We just had World Donors Day on 14th June, and I thought it was an appropriate time to catch up with this decorated officer. Please welcome Air Vice Marshal retired Aftab Hussain. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Wa alaikum salam.
What a pleasure to be here with you.
Thank you very much.
Sir, we've been having a lot of interaction. I've spoken to you so many times in length, and the work that Sundas Foundation is doing for thalassemia patients or blood related diseases in Pakistan is absolutely commendable. And I thought it was a good opportunity. We just had the World Donors Day, so I thought I'd ask you to speak a bit on that also. But our program's format is a bit different. I was just going through your profile, and mashallah, you've been blessed. You've done so much in your life, and still brimming with energy. You know, it shows, it reflects on your interaction with everyone you come across. So first of all, let's start with the basics. Where were you born, and how did you join the Pakistan Air Force?
I was born at Jang, a very backward city.
Remote area of Pakistan.
Remote area, but very proud to be belonging to that area, and I've always owned it up. And it was just an incident that I was studying in Agriculture University, Faisalabad, and the selection center of PF was co-located. Okay. And it was housed in front of my hostel.
Okay.
So the selection center in charge used to come and play cricket with us, and there he started motivating me to join Pakistan Air Force.
Motivating you and other youngsters?
And other youngsters also, but particularly me.
Okay.
And I met him after joining the Air Force once I was an AVM, and he had retired as a group captain. And I told him, and he remembered that, yes, I motivated you. And then it's a long story. I was commissioned in 1978.
So before your commission, I want to know your school days, your early days. Were you a naughty kid, or were you good in studies, or the teacher's pet? How were you as a student?
I was good at studies. I got scholarship of the region in class 8. I didn't do bad in metric and FSC, but my strong point was my sportsmanship.
Okay.
I was a very good player of cricket at board level and division level. I had represented both Sargodha division and Sargodha intermediate and secondary board. Similarly, I was a very good player of hockey also, and then later on I picked up, once I joined Air Force, the squash and lawn tennis. So this gave me a lot of edge over the others, because whenever you play cricket, you know that how to absorb the defeat, how to celebrate the victory. Having, let's say, kept the innings for 45 overs, going inside and without touching the ball, getting run out. So these all made me mentally and physically very strong.
Very good.
And that really helped me in Pakistan Air Force career.
Yeah, and that's a good lesson for all the youngsters who are listening, because nowadays children are more hooked on to video games or social media for that matter, and they probably do not give that much attention to extracurricular sports activities
Very right.
outdoors. So this is a very motivating lesson. Okay, and then so you were good at studies, you passed your matriculation, and after intermediate you joined the academy,
Academy.
Air Force Academy.
I did.
Risalpur.
Initially Rotopa,
Okay.
then Risalpur, and then I switched over to Air Defence, and I graduated from PF Base Kesar.
And were you always inclined, like in your mid teens, were you inclined towards joining the forces, or you had other plans? You wanted to become a doctor or an engineer? Probably those were the most famous professions that in those days.
Speaking honestly, I was inclined to become engineer.
Okay.
And I was undergoing agricultural engineering. I was in first year of agricultural engineering.
Okay.
But it was then I told you the Group Captain Pervez, the OC Selection Center Faisalabad, who motivated me and who kept pursuing me to join Pakistan Air Force.
So he was the one who actually
Yes.
made you come towards this. Okay. And how was the tenure at the academy? And then you must have been a different person once you graduated.
I told you that the being a sportsman, I had a lot of edge over the others because I could take that physical rugging,
endurance and all
that thing. And Alhamdulillah, once I graduated from Kesar, I was one of the highest appointment holders also.
Wow, very good. And then you had a very illustrious career in the Pakistan Air Force. And then after 35 years of service, you retired from Air Force as an Air Vice Marshal, right? And highly decorated. And then did you get a gap before you joined your second innings, which was in the Ministry of Interior, heading the civil defense and bomb disposal?
It was just that the Chief of the Air Staff recommended my name. In tradition, this department was being led by the Air Vice Marshals and Air Marshals in the past also. I was the 13th Director General from Air Force.
Okay.
And it was approved by the Prime Minister of Pakistan. And in 2011 I left the Air Force, and 2012 I got this opportunity of heading the Civil Defense Department of Pakistan.
Okay.
And there I incidentally met the UK and the USA parliamentarians and the Foreign Minister of UK. And I requested them for the training equipment of civil defense.
Okay.
That was the era once we were having maximum blast in Pakistan. Terrorism was at its
Terrorism
peak.
was rampant in those days. Yeah.
Peak. So they suggested that why don't you go for the bomb disposal squad, because this is how we will be able to approve from the Congress of America as well as the Parliament of UK. So at my own initiative, I was able to get the equipment in the shape of remotes, the protective gears, the bomb disposal, bomb-proof vehicles, and lot of auxiliary equipment. 72 sets from UK and USA, and they were worth 13 billion US dollar.
And this was the first time this was done?
This was the first time, and even my Prime Minister and the Chief Interior Minister did not know about that.
Oh, okay.
And they were pleasantly shocked once I told them that I have this equipment already stored in my department.
Wow. And you were awarded knighthood also by the same group?
All these things were being monitored by the International Civil Defense Organization, Geneva, and they recommended my name for this award, and I got it in 2014.
Wow. So how long was this stint in civil defense?
I stayed in civil defense for 2 years plus.
2 years plus. Okay. And once you retired from there, then how did you land up in Sundas Foundation? What's your linkage?
It's again very, very interesting. Allah has been always, I think, guiding me or helping me in going on the right path and selecting all these things. I got a letter from Chief Minister Punjab. They were opening a campus of Punjab University in Jang. So besides the Commissioner Faisalabad, some of the additional secretaries in education ministry, the chief minister recommended that put a name of some prominent person who has been from this area. So I came in that board and I started going frequently to the jung. And while going to the jung, I never broke my link with jung people. Even during the service, I would go to the colleges and schools and motivate the students for joining Pakistan Air Force. So
You
they
were
all
doing
knew
the
me.
same role that your mentor did to you.
I tried to do that. So in that, then once I started to go to jung very frequently, people came up that the deputy commissioner is always with you. Please ask him to open a thalassemia department in the DHQ. I kept pursuing him during that 1 year of my assignment for the campus of Punjab University at Jung, but probably he had his own priorities and his own commitments. So I came back and I one day sat on the laptop and just Google the NGOs working for thalassemia in Pakistan. So I went through the organization and the senior management of Fatmeet, Sundas Foundation and all others. So Sundas Foundation, once I saw the chairman Munnu Bhai and then Suhail Wadach and President Khan, Yasin Khan, and that was the time I thought that I must go and request them to have a thalassemia center at Jung.
Okay.
So I visited the Lahore Center of Sundas Foundation in 2017. So after having being convinced that I should talk to the Sundas Foundation, because I saw the chairman as Munnu Bhai and the other directors also and President Sundas Foundation Khan Yasin Khan. So I went to Lahore in 2017 and this was my first visit to a thalassemia center.
Okay.
Before that, even a person with my background did not know that what is thalassemia.
What is thalassemia?
Thalassemia.
You've never been
I
to?
never been. I just knew that these are the people who need blood, that's all. But during my that visit, I was totally moved. The agony, the pain, the patient and the families were going through, they really touched my soul. And if I to summarize my first interaction with these children and the families, I would say that these are the people probably who were striving, who were yearning, who were hoping for the life in life. They are bearing the brunt of the mistake which was never committed by them, because it's a genetic and inherited disease.
It's not an acquired disease.
Totally, it's an acquired disease. And last but not the least, once I asked a question from one of the children that what would you like to become in future, the mother whispered, sir, we don't know whether he'll grow up or not. So there and then I offered my voluntarily services to the Sundas Foundation. Since then I'm working voluntarily with Sundas Foundation, and during my this stay with the Sundas Foundation, I was fortunate enough to get this place on lease from Pakistan Baitul Mal and establish the Thalassemia Center. Rather continue, they had a little bit of Thalassemia Center before, but then I took over and we have now 550 plus thalassemia patients and 101 hemophilia patients coming from all over north.
For blood transfusion?
For blood transfusion, medicine and various testing.
You have all that equipment here?
We all equipment, we have the lab, we have the blood bank and we have the transfusion room. We also have our own pharmacy, and if I tell you that if this Sundas Foundation was not there, these people would have gone through this treatment through payment. It would have cost them under the present circumstances more than 50,000 per patient per month.
Per month. Okay, so we're going to come to those dynamics. This is Islamabad that we're sitting in. This is one of the thalassemia centers.
One of the thalassemia centers.
How many are there in total right
we
now?
have total 8.
All over Pakistan?
All over Punjab. And this is in federal area. Now we are opening one in Karachi and Peshawar.
Okay.
So we have one in Lahore, Faisalabad, Sialkot, Gujranwala, Hafzabad, Gujarat, Wazirabad, and now inshallah.
So this treatment that you give is not available in the public hospitals?
No, it's very rare. The only public hospitals of the major cities, they have thalassemia departments.
DHQs?
DHQ and THQs almost negligible.
Negligible, very few.
Very
would be
few.
offering.
Very
Okay,
few.
so we're going to come back to this. First of all, I would like to ask you to talk a bit about the World Donors Day. That was on June 14. Every year it's celebrated. What's the purpose of, what is World Donors Day?
It's celebrated all over the globe with 3 to 4 purposes. One, to create an awareness regarding blood donation, because what we lack, especially the developing country, is the awareness of blood donation. People are scared, they have minus a negative thinking about blood donation, so we need to educate them, number one. Number two, we have to thank those voluntary blood donors who have come up over the years and have been giving their blood to save thousands of lives in this era. Thirdly, it is to attract and motivate more voluntary blood donors to add into the pool already we have. And lastly, to draw the attention of those organizations and departments to give and allocate the resources to have this campaign going and going.
Okay, so that's and in Pakistan also it's celebrated in a big way.
Pakistan, it is also, and let me add in my previous sentences, the slogan of this 2023 year is give blood, give plasma, share life and share often. Meaning thereby that you should keep donating the blood, it will save multiple lives, and you should repeating it, because normally we have that voluntarily donated blood donors just give once and then they don't turn up.
Yep, that's true. And now we are also going to talk about the benefits of donating blood, like what does it do to your body. So we'll talk about that. So these patients that come to you, this treatment is usually on a weekly basis, recurring, monthly basis, per annum. What's the frequency of these patients, like under treatment?
The thalassemics.
Yes.
They come to us at the early stage, maybe once or twice in a month.
Okay.
As the weight and the age increases, the number of blood transfusions also increase.
Okay.
And it goes up to 4 to 5 times a month.
4 to 5 times a month?
And let me tell you that the life expectancy of these patients was 5 years in 80s. After the involvement of various NGOs like Fatmid, Sundas, Hussain in Karachi, Khyber in Peshawar, all these have done a lot for these underprivileged community. So ever since then, the life expectancy in Pakistan is around 20 years.
20 years, that's awesome. It's a marked improvement. Do you have enough blood in your blood camps to cater to all these patients who come to you?
Unfortunately, in the developed countries, 90% of the blood requirement is met through voluntary blood donors.
Okay.
Whereas in developing countries like Pakistan, we have only 10% of the voluntarily blood donations.
And 90% you purchase?
And out of 90, 60 to 70 is family replacement. That is demand driven. Whenever one of your relatives gets admitted and he or she needs a blood, that is the time the families and the friends come up and they donate the blood.
I see. And do you purchase blood also? From
Last but not the least, we also have another mafia, the blood donation mafia, in the shape of addicts standing outside the hospital and selling off their blood.
But is that blood,
No, it's not safe, it is not worth transfusion, but what to do? Because the total requirement of Pakistan is 25 lakhs to 30 lakhs per year.
30 lakh, what's the unit?
The blood bags.
Okay.
Total.
30 lakhs.
25 lakhs to 30 lakhs.
Per annum.
Per annum.
Okay.
Now the population of Pakistan is touching 25 crores. So if 1% or maybe 1.2% start to donate blood regularly, we will be able to meet this requirement.
So there are a lot of awareness has to be created for that.
Awareness has to be created. Number two, if we go thalassemia free Pakistan, if we are able to make that, then 33% of our blood is being consumed by this community. So we will be able to save that percentage of blood and put it in use for other diseases.
How many patients do we have right now in Pakistan, registered patients of thalassemia?
In Pakistan, we have around 7,000 in Sundas Foundation, and as far as the total Pakistan is concerned, the thalassemic majors are 100,000, and the annual increment is 10 to 12,000
Per annum.
per annum.
So you said that this is a genetically transferred disease. It is not something which you can just acquire from outside. Right? How can you prevent? How can you just said that we can make Pakistan thalassemia free? I'm sure there are countries in the world which are thalassemia free. What's the catch? How can we do that?
In our region, the Turkey, Iran, Qatar, and Maldives, they have gone almost thalassemia free.
Okay.
Top of it is the priority by the government.
Okay.
At the moment, it is the least. So we must have some sort of technical advisory group, and the data which I have given you, it is unofficial, unauthenticated.
Okay.
They could be more, even more than that number which I gave you. And there are 12 to 14 million the carriers, and the dilemma and the agony is that 90% of them, they don't know that they are the carriers.
There are no symptoms, visible symptoms?
The carrier doesn't have any symptom.
Okay.
The only thing he or she has, that their hemoglobin remains around 7 to 9.
Okay, and the normal is?
Normal for male 14,
okay,
and for female 12.
On average?
On average. So priority by the government for the treatment as well as prevention. Number two, we must undertake through the government and the other organizations massive awareness campaign, and for that I would recommend maybe 10 to 15 minutes program on thalassemia,
regular,
on PTV, Radio Pakistan, other channels, or including a chapter at the intermediate level for the general awareness. And then after the awareness, we need the family screening to identify the carriers which I said.
So that they don't spread the disease.
So that they don't spread the disease. There is a general formula which I have researched, that around each thalassemia major, there are 40 to 50 carriers, and they don't know whether they are the carriers. Because in that family, this disease is prevailing. So if this disease is there, then we should know that there are carriers around.
And the carrier is fully capable of transmitting it.
Yes, he leads a normal life.
Excuse me. Yeah.
He experiences very mild anemia, which he can tolerate. The only thing is that once he or she gets married, they can transmit this missing gene of HB production to the baby.
Okay.
If both genes are muted, abnormal, or missing, which make the HB production in the baby, then the coming baby could be 25% chances are thalassemia major, 50% chances are he could be the carrier of the disease, and 25% chances are that he could be normal. But this 25% is so prominent and so big that I have the families in which all kids fall victim of this 25%.
Oh, I see. So polio, thalassemia, these are diseases which Pakistan can get rid of them. Pakistan can become polio free. Pakistan can become thalassemia free only if we come together as a society, realize the importance and criticality of these diseases, the drain it has on our resources, the pain and suffering it causes to all Pakistanis, specifically to those patients. We can do it if we come together as a society. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right Welcome back to Sky is the Limit. I'm Farooq Hassan and we are sitting with Air Vice Marshal retired Aftab Hussain, who is the director of Sundas Foundation, which is an NGO which deals in blood transfusion, blood related diseases and how to eliminate them. So basically, Aftab sir, you were telling me, of all the issues that you face in blood transfusion or in dealing with thalassemia. Let's continue with that.
The major problem is the availability of safe and screen blood.
Okay.
That is the major problem in Pakistan. One, the number of bags which we require vis-a-vis which we get, and number two is the screen blood, the safe blood. Screen and the safe blood, because if we don't screen, and which most of the people in Pakistan don't, because of the cost prohibitive.
Okay.
It takes around 2,500 to 3,000 rupees per bag for screening.
Okay.
So if we don't do that, then the disease like AIDS, hepatitis B, hepatitis C, and now E also, syphilis and malaria can go into the body of receiver.
So in addition to thalassemia,
In thalassemia, the patient may have one of these diseases which I mentioned.
It's extremely dangerous.
Secondly, we are not in habit of in Pakistan making the components out of the blood donated. We are in habit of giving the whole blood to the patient, whereas he just requires either the RBCs or the plasma or the platelets, because component making is again expensive. But we are wasting a lot of blood. So we must get into the practice of differentiating and making the components.
But it's again costly, you said.
It is costly, but I think we should resort to that because we are wasting a lot of blood.
We can save on that.
We can save on that, and you can give the, let's say, RBCs to thalassemia and general surgery patients. Then you can give the plasma to the hemophilia.
You can reallocate the
resources and the products and benefit more patients than giving whole blood, which may not be good even for the patient also.
Okay.
Because if he needs platelets, then give him the platelets only. He doesn't need RBC and he doesn't need the plasma.
I see.
And vice versa.
Okay, that's great. That's great. So, do you have enough capacity to store blood? Because I'm sure it has a life, like a blood once extracted from the body, I'm sure cannot be active or cannot be useful for life. What's the life of this blood that you store and how do you store it? What are the special techniques?
As I said, that we make the components. RBCs have the life of red cells, we call it.
Red blood cells.
Red cells. It has the life of 30 days, preferably. We use the fresh blood, that is of the age of 10 to 15 days.
Okay.
The fresher it would be, the better it would be for the health of the patient.
Okay.
Number two, we have the plasma that is freezed on minus 29 degree temperature.
Okay.
And this lasts for 1 year, and we give it to the, it's a frozen, we call it plasma, defreeze it, and then we give it to the patient. And it is used for hemophilia, for the cancer patients, and before the vaccine, it was very effective treatment of COVID-19 also, because this disease had come to France 100 years back, and then there was no vaccine. They resorted to this transfusion of plasma from the recovered person to the newly infected person.
Fair enough.
Platelets, the age is about 36 to 48 hours, and as they are not no use at the Thalassemia Center, we immediately give it to PAMS and Holy Family for the usage for cancer patients and dengue patients.
Okay, okay, okay. And does the government help you in all these efforts? You're doing it as a NGO, but what kind of involvement or assistance would you require from the government?
Not much, but maybe 10 to 20% is the government, but most of the burden is shared by the private philanthropics and the organizations. You will be very happy to note that last year there was a day celebrated in UNO. It was known as Service to Humanity Day.
Yeah.
And Pakistan stood number 1.
Okay.
And Sundas Foundation, the other foundations, the Salani groups, all these NGOs working for the humanity to the service to the humanity, they would bear me out that there are people who wants to give money, but the money should be well spent, and it should be, they should have a confidence in the organization
that it is being utilized
that it is
properly
being
and
utilized
judiciously.
and judiciously.
Right.
Government can support us in, let's say, training our staff,
Yeah.
in giving us the expertise whenever we require the NGOs. NGOs are now, with the devaluation of Pak rupees, are facing a lot of financial problems.
Crunch.
Because of the inflation, the donations have reduced, whereas the treatment cost has increased because the delta of the Pak rupees and the dollar.
I see.
So day by day it's becoming difficult.
Fair enough, fair enough. Even sir, I would like to ask, what is the difference between thalassemia and hemophilia? Hemophilia is something we hear a lot, you know. What's the difference, and are they related, and do you treat both these patients?
Thalassemia and hemophilia both are the blood disorders.
Yes.
Hemophilia is very rare phenomena as compared to thalassemia. If we have, let's say, 100,000, I said, thalassemia major patients in Pakistan, we should have around 3 to 4,000 hemophilic patients, roughly figure. Thalassemia is life-threatening,
Okay.
whereas with treatment, the hemophilic can survive and lead a normal life.
Okay.
In thalassemia, there is a deficiency of HB production. Their HB remains low, and they experience the severe anemia. Whereas in case of hemophilia, there is a missing clotting in the patient, and because of that missing clotting, which is known in medical science, factor 8 and factor 9 deficiency, the body is unable to stop the bleeding.
I see.
They don't have the normal clotting a normal healthy person has. So because of which the bleeding continues until and unless they are given either the factor 8 or 9 ejection,
Okay.
or we make cryoprecipitate out of plasma and we transfuse that, and with that the bleeding stops.
I see. Okay.
Thirdly, this thalassemia is inherited from both parents, that is the mother as well as father, whereas hemophilia is from mother only. Then the effects of the thalassemia are boys and girls both equally, whereas this disease, hemophilia, is more pronounced in boys, and there are very few cases of girls.
Okay.
And growth wise, as I said earlier, in Pakistan, out of 10,000, 16 are the thalassemia major patients, whereas hemophilia out of 10,000, only 1.
I see. That's the difference. Okay. So, if I was to ask you, you've had 3 innings, 1 in Air Force, 1 in Civil Defense, and 1 in now that you're playing. Which one was the best innings?
Of course, the current one.
The current one.
Yes, because it has really reaffirmed my belief and conviction that normally people say that everybody lives for himself.
Yes.
But the actual purpose of life, what I learned in
It's
Air
living
Force
for others.
also and here also, is to live for others.
Yes.
Then it's has given me a new meanings to my life, and there could not have been a post-retirement better activity than this.
Absolutely. I think you just added post-retirement. I would say otherwise also. There's so many youngsters also who do a lot of social work, and this is one of the main purposes of this program also. We want to highlight all those unsung heroes who are doing so much for the society, for humanity, for the country, but people don't know about them in that sense. So this is one main purpose of this program also, but we truly appreciate all Pakistanis, for all the services that you're giving, and are doing all your efforts to make Pakistan thalassemia free. We're going to take a short break, viewers. We'll be right back after. Welcome back to Sky's the Limit. I'm Farooq Hassan, and I am in conversation with Air Vice Marshal retired Aftab Hussain, who is the director of Sundas Foundation. Aftab sir, tell me, basically Sundas Foundation has been around for some time. When and how was this formed? Who formed this?
It was founded in way back in 1998
Okay.
in Gujranwala, and then after the Munubai took over as its chairmanship, it started to expand, and it has been over now 2.5 decades almost that it has been serving the thalassemics, the hemophilics directly by providing the free of cost treatment, totally free of cost, and indirectly help by giving the blood products for the cancer and other chronic diseases.
Who founded it?
It was founded by in Gujranwala by the president Sundas Foundation, Yasin Khan, and his colleagues, and then later on it was joined by the Munubai as a chairman.
I think
And
that's when it got a lot of fame, also because
Expansion.
Munna Bhai, obviously one of the world-renowned figures
Yes.
in terms of arts, writing, literature, and that's how it got its platform. Even now I see a lot of artists, Khalid Abbas Dar Saab and Sohail Ahmed Saab, associated, Sohail Walaj Saab, associated with this, and that's amazing. This is one cause that we should all work for, and we need to make Pakistan thalassemia free. That should be the goal, basically. How is Sundas Foundation different or unique as compared to other NGOs who deal in this blood transfusion or blood related diseases?
Before I answer, let me pay a tribute to the other organizations also.
Yes.
They are also doing fantastic job. As I mentioned earlier, the Fatmi, the Hussaini, the Khyber, all these, the Kashif in Pakistan, Thalassemia Center in Rawalpindi, Jamila Sultana, all these people, actually it's a effort everybody is putting
Voluntary work.
with their available resources. Sundas Foundation has the privilege and the honor of being the pioneer of safe blood transfusions. As I said earlier, that we started to give the screened blood so that there is no other disease getting into the body of thalassemic patients. One. Number two, it also started to have more blood donations from volunteer blood donors rather than the family replacement. And there are some organizations and even public hospitals which first get the replacement and then give the blood to the thalassemic patients. Sundas Foundation is not doing that. For your information, we are collecting around 30,000 bags per annum.
Okay.
And the daily transfusion through these 8 centers which I mentioned earlier is 250 to 300 bags per day.
Okay. Okay. That's amazing. That's amazing. Imam Saab, what plans do you have for future? Will you be sticking around with Sundas Foundation, or would you be taking on another venture, knowing that you've already been, playing in different fields?
I think there could not have been a better place to be in than Sundas Foundation, serving this underprivileged community. Yes, I would like to, inshallah, and my president and the other senior management which you mentioned is with me, to go for full bore for the prevention of the disease, rather than being happy in treatment only.
Or containment only.
On containment only. We must ensure the coming generation should be stopped if they are thalassemics.
Absolutely. That's a noble thought. Before we conclude this program, any special message that you'd like to give to our youngsters, to our viewers, to the government officials who are watching? Anything you'd like to say?
Firstly, regarding the blood, we discussed 2 topics, the blood donation, and they are the more important than my personal career and the other things we talked. Blood donation, I would like to give the benefits you mentioned in between also, and we couldn't discuss at that time.
Yes, that what are the benefits
What are the
to an individual
of the blood donation? One, that there is a unique feeling which cannot be substituted by anything, and that is saving lives for the others.
Serving humanity.
Quran says, and I would like to translate it in Urdu, कि जिसने एक इंसान को बचाया गोया उसने पूरी इंसानियत को बचाया. तो blood they must come forward and give blood. It gives one that it removes your stress. It all finish and eliminates the negative feelings you have. It gives you so much of inner satisfaction.
It makes you healthy.
It makes you healthier. Now I'm coming to that also. It gives you a good health. Why? Because once you donate blood regularly, the iron starts to go off your body. The cancer and the heart are by virtue of iron overload. So you reduce the risk of cancer and heart attack by 80% if you are a regular blood donor. Then you are also improving your physical health, because after 4 months your fresh red cells are coming in, and that gives you the physical fitness and a better cardiovascular health also.
That's a natural phenomenon.
That is a natural phenomenon.
Thirdly, your blood is being screened regularly, so you can know if
and you get the feedback. If there's, God forbid, a risk factor of any indicators of some disease, then the donor are counseled in privacy, and they're just told that we can see symptoms of some of the disease. So it gives you a free medical check, and it gives you the alarmings and the signals which are coming that you may be heading for this disease. So the timely warning is given to you, and you can get yourself cured. Now coming to the thalassemia, I would like to request the government to take this disease on the priority basis. Awareness, I said earlier, the family screening. It may not be possible to have a family screening of 25 crores. It's a very thickly populated country we have. But we can have the high prevalence area of the thalassemia. And that is, those are the areas where the family and the cousin marriages are more pronounced. It is 42% thalassemics are by virtue of family and cousin marriages. So these areas are Southern Punjab, KPK and AJK. So if we can have the family screening, these areas screened, and as I mentioned earlier, have the list of thalassemia majors, and around each thalassemia major there are 30 to 40 carriers, and they don't know that they are the carriers. They are the carriers. Lastly, the government must pass a legislation. I mentioned about Turkey, I mentioned about Qatar, I mentioned about Maldives. They have gone Iran, they have gone almost thalassemia free by strictly having a thalassemia test prior to the marriage.
Okay.
In our case, the Sindh and the KPK assemblies have passed this resolution, but there is yet the resolution or the bill has yet to be passed in National, Punjab and Balochistan. So I would like to have that legislation going on. Last but not the least, we have the legislation, but we lack implementation. Once I tried to get the feedback from the Sindh and KPK people, they told me that zero implementation. Because what they have done is they have made a column in the Nikah Nama where thalassemia test is to be ticked by the Maulvi Sahib. Now you will bear with me that we can have a new Nikah Nama made in maybe 1,000 rupees. So I would like to recommend that we must make the thalassemia test as a past or prerequisite of the ID card. Or we should link it up with the intermediate secondary certificate, so that the people really take it seriously, implementation is seriously, and I'm sure that if these steps are taken in next 10 to 15 years, we will be almost thalassemia free Pakistan.
Inshallah ta'ala. And so basically what you are aiming at or pointing out at is that the legislation should be so strong that the enforcement or implementation becomes smoother, right? Even sir, it was a pleasure talking to you. I came here to talk about World Donors Day, but it was very interesting to share your life story, your success story. You are an inspiration, motivation to so many people, and what you're doing is probably what every Pakistani dreams to do, to serve humanity, to serve our country, and that's a dream, and you're getting a life chance on that. Obviously all of us try to contribute as much as we can in our own little capacity, but this is great stuff, and I hope and wish that Pakistan becomes thalassemia free as soon as possible.
Inshallah.
Thank you very much. Inshallah ta'ala, I will see you in another episode of Sky's the Limit. Till then, Allah Hafiz.